Hey, New York Jet fans from all around the world. Welcome to Laugh Through the Turbulence, a New York Jets podcast. The show that delivers you all your Jets content. Here are your hosts, John, Adden, and Monty. All the best to the New York Jet fans. J-E-T-S, Jets, Jets, Jets. Go Jets.
Thank you, Fireman Ed. Welcome to Jets Monday. It is 3/19/24. Some news today, right, guys?
Yeah, a little bit.
Good Joe Douglas strikes again, boys. Woo! How we feeling? Mike Williams signed to the Jets 1 year up to $15 million. How we like it now? Didn't even let him leave the building.
Which is exactly what we said they had to do, and let's make sure we give the big shout out to NYJ Matt for sending the breakfast sandwich.
The egg and cheese and Taylor ham breakfast sandwich. That's so clutch.
Deal. I don't know if you guys saw it, but just a little bit ago, Mike Williams, they posted a video of him taking a bite of the sandwich. So he actually did eat it, which is amazing.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, and he said this is what got the deal signed. So he's
damn right it did.
Yeah.
Damn right it did. I mean, he didn't even let him leave the building. He had visits scheduled. He did good. Up to 15 mil. I mean, that's interesting. If it gets to 15 mil, it's probably worth it because it's going to be very incentive based. And we still don't know, but you got to figure it's going to be somewhere in the Tyron Smith kind of realm where it's like not a whole lot guaranteed, and then it can be worth a lot, but the incentives probably 1,000 yards, a Pro Bowl, which apparently now the Tyron Smith details have come out. But enough of that. Monty, what do you think? You're under the flu game, mind you, so he's doing the miraculous. Is it Game 5 against the Jazz that Michael Jordan came through with?
Yeah, man, just a little bit.
Everyone, give a round of applause to Monty for fucking going above and beyond. I'm sick, but I'm gonna stand in front of a camera and talk about Jets.
I'm doing my best. So yeah, Mike Williams. I mean, wow. This has been one of the most awesome and eventful off seasons and exciting off seasons that I've had a chance to observe as a Jets fan. It's like all the things are coming together in all the places that we need them to. It's really, really cool to see. I'm super happy about this. And Mike Williams, what a great compliment for Garrett Wilson. I mean, you got a 6'4", sure-handed guy, fast for his size, not super fast, but fast for his size, great hands, great, good, pretty good nose for the end zone, just solid wide receiver, could be a wide receiver one on some teams, you know what I mean? But, the other main thing is that he's nice and tall, and Aaron Rodgers, an accurate QB like that, with a receiver like that is just deadly.
Go ahead, Adnan.
Yeah, no, I agree with everything Monty said, and I think, I'm looking at a tweet here from Mike Clay from ESPN, and he gave a 15-game projection. So Mike Williams plays 15 games, looking at projected 98 targets with 65 catches, 889 yards, 6 touchdowns. You get that production from him, and that is the perfect complement for Garrett Wilson. It takes pressure off of Garrett Wilson. Like you said, it gives them a big red zone target. And I just think with a healthy Aaron Rodgers, that's one of the reasons you sign Aaron Rodgers, right? Is because he's an elevator. He makes everybody better. So Garrett Wilson right now, to me, is a top 10, receiver in the NFL. With Mike Williams on the other side and Aaron Rodgers healthy, I'm convinced, no one will convince me otherwise, that at the end of this season, he's going to be on the same line as Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase, right? It's going to be the three of them, and they're going to be indistinguishable from each other. And so this move doesn't just make the Jets offense as a whole better. I think it makes each individual offensive player that much better. And, like John said, with with Rodgers, Alan Lazard is a different receiver. So if you have two big-bodied receivers along with Conklin and Ruckert, this red zone offense can be even better. So I think this is a really good day. Now, as always, we have to give, both sides of the coin. We'll be crossing our fingers on health, how he responds after the ACL, all of those things. But that's for down the road. Today is a very good day.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really liking this just because, as you said, it makes sense with the compliment, right, to Garrett. And hopefully with Lazard coming back to a normal form, it bodes really well. What I think will be interesting is kind of how they line up these three guys, right, when they're all on the field, right? Because in theory, probably Garrett's going to end up being more in the slot, which we've seen before, and it's worked very effectively. And it would make sense too because he's the smaller of the three, right? I think Lazard is 6'5", actually. So Mike Williams isn't even the tallest guy in the group, right? Which is crazy enough as it is. It's basically supposed to be the offense that we were going to see with Corey Davis, except you swapped out Corey Davis and you got the upgrade of Mike Williams.
Yeah,
so
huge upgrade.
Huge upgrade.
Yeah, it's a huge upgrade. And Mike Williams, he's a big dude. Unfortunately, he didn't do it 40 times, so I don't have anything on that. But basically based on everything,
I looked up and he's about in the 4.5, 4.6 range from anything that we've ever seen from him, but it's not official.
Okay, thank you. Okay, nothing official. Thank you very much for that. But basically, his prospect grade when he did come out was 6'8", which basically made him a year one starter. Guess what? He's been a year one starter. But yeah, big dude, and the big dude who can catch 50-50 balls, right? And that's something that's going to be really awesome to see, especially since I don't know. I guess the way the offense kind of functioned a little bit last year, right? I think some of the more interesting throws that we got to see from Zach, unfortunately, instead of Rodgers, right, was those 50-50 balls to Conklin, right, where he just run up, do a go route basically and throw like kind of a jump ball in the middle. And if Conklin can get that, Mike Williams can get that because Mike Williams also has pretty damn good hands. Although drops was actually a thing that was kind of a detriment to him in his college days. So it'll be interesting to see if that kind of holds up there, but not really many drops. I mean, like in 2022, he had looks like only one drop.
Last year he didn't play much. He only had 0.
Yeah, not the year before. 2021, which was a big season, he did have 7 drops, but
he also had 128 targets and 129 targets and 76 receptions for 1,150 yards and what was it? 9
thanks
touchdowns.
for finishing my sentence, Mr. Flew.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right, way to steal my thunder on that one, right? Yeah, I mean, I think it's gonna go very. It's. I think the offense is right now. It looks fairly complete, right? Like this is an offense that complement the defense now, right? Because it's offense and defense right now. This should be the best team in the AFC East. I think that's easy to say at this point, right? Because Buffalo has been got decimated with their cap issues. Miami, I mean, they still have work to do. Miami, because they did lose a lot, as well because they also had cap issues too, and they're probably gonna have to extend Tua in order to make more cap room to make more things work for them, right? Which I'm going to enjoy because I think we all kind of feel the same way about Tua.
Yeah.
So, but that's what we're competing with. And the Patriots, that's a full rebuild. There's no way that's going to turn around anytime soon. But I guess, what's interesting about this pick right now it gives us a little bit more flexibility, right? In terms of what we want to do in this continuation of free agency, right? And also with what's eventually coming, which is the draft right now. What do you guys think before we get to the draft and maybe the change in pick 10 strategy? What do you think now the Jets continue to do to improve this roster going into the draft with free agency?
I mean, I would like to see another safety brought in, right? Bargain safety. Maybe you bring back Ashton Davis because I just don't think you can go in to this season with, Tony Adams, Chuck Clark, and a third-day pick at safety. So I think that's somewhere I'd like to see them maybe bring back Ashton Davis just to solidify the back end of the defense there. I would also like to see them, honestly, like if they can figure out a way to do it. I know this isn't player acquisition, but seeing if there's a way to extend DJ Reed and Michael Carter. The nickel corners are getting paid this offseason, And I think that, that's a move I would like to see. And then outside of that, just more depth on the offensive line. So if they can accomplish those things, I don't think there have to be any more big signings, right? Just now depth pieces and smaller moves.
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty much just going to say the same thing about the line. Great point about the safety. I mean, we definitely are lacking on having one more stud safety. I would like to see maybe see if we can pull one of those depth pieces on the line that's actually good. I don't know who's kind of still out there that's remaining that we would even fill that in. Another thing I think that needs to be a priority is, which I'm sure is a priority, but getting rid of Zach Wilson, getting that contract off the books, and just separating ourselves from that, from him. You know what I mean? So it's just like, I just want to see him off the team, and I want to see kind of where we're going with our, QB3. But going into the draft, I mean, we're in a really great place. I think at this point, free agency is really more so going to be for cleanup. Like I don't see us making any more big moves other than, maybe a safety. And I think that, and until the draft, and then after the draft, based on how it goes, I think we'll leverage, free agency to fill in any other remaining spots. That's pretty much how I think it'll pan out.
Yeah, I think safety is the one thing, as you said. I would say it's a medium spend, if anything, right, like that. Right?
Yeah.
And what's crazy is the safety market's been dead. Like basically, no one's really gotten anything in the safety market, right? Like, I mean, like Jamal Adams. I mean, we're not gonna obviously no. I think Eddie Jackson's still available. Quandre Diggs. Micah Hyde's still available too, I think, at this point. Yeah.
Jordan Poyer is not. He signed with the Dolphins.
That's right. Yeah. Jaron Curse is still out there.
He is. Cam Pearl signed for peanuts with the Rams, which is kind of crazy for his age and skill set. But
yeah, that one was nuts. But I guess that's a good thing, considering just that, like, we probably the safety market is not what it was when Joe Douglas pulled off an amazing trade back in the day. My God, those contracts. Even what's his face, Marcus May is still out there too. So like maybe you bring back a name.
And I know he's expensive, but is Justin Simmons still available? I think he is.
No, I don't think he is.
Unless I'm insane. Unless I missed it.
Let's find out. No, I think he's still available.
I thought
10 hours ago he's still available.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like he's still 2 hours ago. He's still, I mean, if you could get him, imagine getting him on a 1 year cheap deal. I mean, listen, it's all gravy now, whatever they do. But yeah, John, I agree. I think medium spend at safety is probably the way to go. I would just bring back Ashton Davis, to be honest.
That would be cool, Ashton Davis. And I guess in the old line, there's some people fell off the board, right? Trent Brown went to, I guess, the Bengals, right? We thought it was going to be Becton. I guess it's not going to be Becton. And you guys want to stay far clear from Becton, which I understand the sentiment there. It just sucks because, like, he was so talented his rookie year. He was so good. But, like, yeah, there's still tackles out there, too. Besides him, right? Not too many though. A lot of them are kind of pretty much it's done. So it'd be funny if Becton goes unsigned for a long time. Maybe you just bring him back for like $3 million. Maybe you do. I
was just gonna say that because he's a huge guy, great run blocker, and he can just steamroll people. You could bring him in for like jumbo packages, and you can do a lot with him when he's not the guy you're relying on.
Yeah, and you shouldn't have to rely on him, but if Moses or Tyron Smith goes down, it's not a bad name to have backing it up, right? So they give you the upside of like a really great tackle, but at the same time, it can be a liability.
I think it's a terrible idea to have him as a backup for either of them, right? I mean, because John, we looked at the PFF grades, right? One game he's grading out as a borderline starter. The next game he's grading out as, if he works the drive-thru at McDonald's. Like, it's awful, the variation. And I don't think you can have that much variation every time he steps on the field, right? And that would worry me a lot. So that's
you might not
play for free.
Right now, you only have Carter Warren, and I guess ABT could slide out, right?
Right, that's what I'm saying. I like it better than I like him better than Carter Warren as
I would also say, I mean, look, there are
Max
other
Mitchell, I guess, right? That's the other name.
Yeah,
on the roster, yes, but I think there are moves to be made, whether it's a small trade to bring somebody in. You know, there will be opportunities, I think, to bring in someone better than Becton. You know, and then I think the way that we feel about Zach Wilson, I think is kind of the same way the organization feels about Becton, you know, and I just don't think there would be any appetite to bring him back, even at a dirt cheap contract.
Donovan Smith is still out there too, which is interesting, but that's more of a starter level.
Yeah,
right?
that's more. Yeah, I don't think he'd take a backup.
He is from here, so that does kind of make sense. Dwayne Brown, if he can get off the rocker, maybe, but and Bakhtiari obviously is another name too. But yeah, I mean, like you still have to kind of think about this, right? Because Chumadoga, it's another name too. But you got to think about this. All your tackles are on 1-year deals, basally, except for Carter Warren, and then I guess BT as well, right? Because he's until they do the 5th year, which it seems like it's going to have to happen, right?
And so I think that's a good way to segue to the draft quickly. And I think everything that we just talked about in relation to the tackle situation is why they have to come away with a first-round tackle. Like, the more and more I think about it, yeah, would it be nice to get a wide receiver or Brock Bowers? Yeah, it would. But at the same time, you know, the only thing that matters is keeping Aaron Rodgers healthy. So if you have to invest in the offensive line, over-invest in the offensive line, I think you have to do it. Because, you know, God forbid one of those tackles goes down and you're playing somebody else, you need someone waiting in the wings that's of just high quality. And there are so many quality tackles in this draft. I think if you give them one training camp to learn from Tyron Smith and Morgan Moses, if you bring in Bakhtiari, you have a guy that I think can step in with much more upside than anyone they have on the roster. So I know that there are options, and I appreciate that, you know, but at the same time, I just think if they come out of this draft without a first-round tackle, they're doing a big disservice to this organization.
Yeah, and I'm thinking you're kind of right on this one. I think it's got to be O-line, right? And I'm thinking the name that actually makes the most sense right now is actually Patanu.
Right, because he can play everywhere. Yeah,
he's the most he's the most versatile of them all, right? But he's not worthy of pick 10, I think, to most teams' eyes. I think he can be drafted a little bit later because of that versatility. I guess Waga is also pretty versatile too, I guess, in that sense, right? He's kind of played I could be wrong that he hasn't played every position on there, but you know, I think he's a little versatile too, so that maybe that makes sense too. But there would be an opportunity to potentially trade back, right, on this one, just because you could scoop maybe a couple picks out of this, right? And there's a couple teams out there with multiple first rounders. I think this is what could happen, right? I think if it gets down to it, Minnesota can't trade up. The Jets leverage their one spot advantage on Minnesota to trade for both their maybe both their first rounders, so they can get the quarterback that they want instead of like Denver scooping them up, right, by trading up 2 spots or something like that. Or Denver could trade up, right? And I think they have a second rounder, so they can do a first and a second, I believe, for that situation. I think, although I think what's going to happen is one of those two, I think, is going to trade up with Arizona, and then Arizona's going to have 2 first-round picks, and then that's going to kind of cake everything, I guess, if that makes sense. But I think a trade, maybe if someone really likes somebody, maybe the Jets can move back and get a second-rounder out of it. Monty, what do you think, Mr. Flu?
Oh man, sorry. I'm like having issues here. My camera's like a second behind, so give me a second, man.
Yeah, it is. It's the flu, man. You know.
Yeah, it's infecting everything, man.
I don't know why you keep getting sick. I just don't get sick. I don't understand it. I mean, I'm probably
well, you weren't around a bunch of toddlers and in a cold ass house for a whole weekend.
I'm smarter than you.
Those kids will get you.
Give me a second. Let me kick back out. I'll be right back in.
All right. Excellent contribution, Monty.
Yeah. So, John, to kind of go back to what you were saying in regards to like trading down and all that, I agree. Like my optimal move is a trade down, grab an extra pick, no matter what it is, an extra first, an extra second, extra third, just to have that extra pick in a pretty deep draft in the first 3 rounds. But I also feel like if there are one of these guys that the Jets covet above all else, and that guy is there at 10, you got to take him. But if the guy that you really want isn't there, then you can trade down and make concessions, But I agree. I think a trade down would be optimal if their guy isn't there at 10.
Yeah, I mean, it's all just really interesting, right? I mean, if you look at the trade value chart over here, I mean, the Jets are sitting here really nice. They're highlighted in green. I'm just thinking, like, potentially how far back could they potentially go, right? In the event they wanted to trade back, right? And like who would have like an early second so they could also scoop up a wide receiver of some sorts, right? Wait, let me put our faces here so we can say hey. But basically, like, I mean, the way I'm seeing it, I guess Denver doesn't have do they not have a second? I guess they don't. Oh, maybe Seattle still has it. Is that right? No, they traded it. They did trade it.
Yeah, I don't know
they
who
did trade
has
it.
it, but what I would say, John, right? If you look at like the 10th pick is worth 1,300 points, right?
It is.
So for Minnesota to move up, if we're going by this chart, I mean, to move up one spot, to make it a fair trade, it's the 122nd pick, right? Which is 50 points.
Is it really? Yeah.
Yeah. So if you swap,
but you always have to overpay when you want to.
No. I totally understand, but I'm saying then what is the overpay?
Fourth rounder at least. It would have to be at least a fourth rounder, but Minnesota doesn't have a fourth rounder until here, so that doesn't count.
That's what I mean. Yeah. So
this one over here would work, but in the end, the Jets are gonna be like, "Hey, if you want your fucking quarterback, come and get it, boy."
And I think like look at Denver. Even that pick, I mean, that's 100 points of value, right? So you drop down to 12, you can then probably get a late third rounder if they have one. Do they even have one, Denver?
This third rounder is right here.
Yeah, so I mean, if that's the overpay, then that's what you would have to get, right? But look at other
two to get back in the second.
Yeah, who else would want a quarterback that's maybe a little bit down? A little bit further down, because I don't know how far you want to drop either. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, let's take a look. Let's look at it, right? Quarterback teams. We'll go by the whole list. Yes, yes, yes. No, no, yes, no, no. Same thing already. Yes, yes. Vegas. Yeah, they would want a quarterback.
Yeah, right.
These three teams all want quarterbacks.
Yeah.
New Orleans, I guess they have 2 more years of Carr guaranteed, right? So they're probably a no.
Hard to
Indy's set. Seattle's probably set. Jacksonville's also set, and they're definitely going to give Trevor the 5th year, right?
Then after that, it's everyone's right. Cincinnati, the Rams,
Pittsburgh's also very interesting on that one too. So the way they're set up right now. Russell Wilson's a 1-year deal for like $1 million or something like $2 million, right? Fields on the 4th year, never getting a 5th year option, right? So they got 2 quarterbacks on expiring deals right now. And I don't think they pay Russell Wilson. No freaking way do you pay Russell Wilson.
Oh, yeah, right? No. And I think, Fields, and I don't think they're going to pick up the 5th year on Fields. So I feel like, I mean, it would also depend who's there, right? Because I feel like Minnesota has positioned themselves. So say they want to get up to 4, right? So that's 1,800 points. They have 1,250 with the 11th swap. And then what is the other one? 23. Yeah, that's exactly it. To get right up to 4, right?
They can do it.
They can do it. So that's kind of like the conundrum there, because then there aren't really too many teams that are going to want to jump up to 10 for a quarterback. Maybe someone want to come up for a receiver. Like if Odunze is still there.
Here's another team that's interesting for a quarterback. Potentially Dallas. Dak's on the last year of his deal, and they're going to have to pay not only him again, right? They're going to have to pay Micah Parsons, CeeDee Lamb. There's DeMarcus Lawrence. They're all coming up very soon.
Yeah,
that's why Dallas has been so quiet in this free agency, right? They haven't done shit, and I don't think they will. So like I think, yeah, but right here, 1, 2, 3. You have a bidding war with all three of these teams right now: Minnesota, Denver, and Las Vegas for 10. I think you can get I guess Vegas, you could probably get the 13 and 44. I guess in theory, 44 would be right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
that would be enough of an overpay.
But I also feel like, right, if Minnesota moves up and gets up to 4, then you're going quarterback, 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 quarterback. Right, the top 4 quarterbacks are off the board. Is someone going to trade up for a Bo Nix? Right, like that's kind of what you have to look at. So I don't know if it'll be interesting to see what transpires.
Yeah,
Monty, welcome back.
Monty.
Yeah, all good.
Yeah, it's okay. Go ahead, talk, Monty. We missed your voice and your highness voice.
Yeah, I mean, all I was pretty much going to say is I just, I think it almost necessitates us trading back at this point. The Mike Williams pickup. I think that I wouldn't actually be opposed with, still taking a receiver in the first. But I think you definitely have to do your best to trade back, get that second round pick, and then you either go O-line depth and then wide receiver, or wide receiver then O-line. I still think the needs don't change that much, just because a lot of our newly acquired pieces are 1 year incentive based, prove it sorts of situations. And if this all works, we're going to need to keep it going for not just this 1 year. I mean, hopefully we would make it to a Super Bowl and, we have all what we need to do that. But, I never bet on that in any one given year. So, we do need. Yeah, I know you do every year.
I'm a degenerate, so of course I would.
Yeah, well, that's what degenerates do. But,
I
know
know what I am. I accept it.
Yeah, it's true. But other than degenerates, I personally am just not betting on the 1 year, and a lot of our team is 1 year deals. So we need to start looking at the future a little bit too. Like, we kind of have to have the future in mind. If we're not going to go like all in and mortgage the future with talent, and just get like, every single stud and make bad trades and stuff that just puts us all in for now and hurts us in the future. If we're not going to do that, then we got to think of the future in terms of young talent, and we need to make sure that we're shoring up tackle and that we're shoring up wide receiver, shoring up O-line in general. So trade back.
I think the odds actually slightly improved for the Jets recently on the Super Bowl. They're plus 3,000 now. I think they were plus 3,333, but I could be wrong on that one.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've said it a million times. We win the offseason year in and year out, so I'm not surprised. I mean, it's normal for us to move up the boards, and for us to have a little bit of hype, and people feel that we're there's something to us that's worth looking into, and then when the rubber meets the road and when the cleats meet the turf, that's when things start to fall apart for us. So I want to make sure we're doing everything that we can to prevent injuries and the things that have hampered us in the past from cutting our legs out from under us this season.
Well, interestingly enough, I'm going to read out the teams that are favored ahead of us right now, and you're going to say right now, today, which team is better, Jets or the other team, right?
Okay.
Jets or Dolphins? Dolphins
Jets.
are slight. Jets. Okay. Packers.
I'm not sure on the Dolphins. I think we're about as good as the Dolphins right now.
No, the Jets are better than the Dolphins. I
think we're about as good, because you have to remember, like, it's more than just about their offense, which their offense is pretty much mostly the same. Like, they still have their tackle, they still have Tyreek, they still have Waddle, they still have Tua, they still have Mostert, they still have Achane, they have most of their line intact. Like, their offense was doing numbers, especially in the regular season.
They do not have their O-line intact. Robert Hunt is gone, and Connor Williams, who came off the ACL at the end of the year, was going to be the All-Pro center, is still a free agent. So
I get it.
Is not there right now.
Yeah, fine, but they still have Armstead. They still have their tackles. They're not decimated at O-line either.
You like Austin Jackson?
Yeah, on the offensive side, but if you look at the defense, right, they lost Vic Fangio. Their defense has been kind of eviscerated a little bit, and they're going with cheap veteran options. So I just think with the off seasons, I think you have to give the edge to the Jets right now over the Dolphins.
I think you give it to them. I think you give it to them in defense for sure. But I mean, let's not forget, we weren't really like that decimated at defense, and they smoked us badly.
Okay.
With our defense intact.
All right, let me continue with the odds. Jets or Packers?
That's tough.
I say Jets.
Tough. I think the Jets, but barely.
Yeah, I think the Jets barely.
Okay. Texans.
Jets.
Yeah, close. That's another close one, though. That's another close one.
I mean, the Jets beat their ass.
Without
Rodgers.
We beat their ass without Rodgers, but they've added some pieces. They're growing. They're kind of on a little bit of a tear.
They also have the easier schedule for that division. So
true.
Yeah. Wow. The Jets have the same odds as the Falcons. I guess that's the one I'll go next. Falcons.
Jets.
Even though we lost to them.
I don't care about any of the moves. I don't care about the moves they made. I think that the Falcons are still not like a threat to us.
Okay, Cowboys.
Cowboys.
I think the Jets, after what the Cowboys have lost, they lost a lot of pieces. They haven't made any improvements.
I feel like they're like a Steelers-like team in that they always figure out how to be good in the regular season, though.
But not good enough.
Not good enough in the postseason.
Yeah, okay. I think they'll take a step back. I do.
I think so too, but I don't know if we end with a better record than they do. I don't know.
Fair enough. Okay, now the next teams, I guess we're gonna say all no to. The Eagles.
No.
Not yet.
Yeah, we're not. Yeah, I don't think we're there yet, especially now that they have Saquon.
We did beat them though.
Right. I mean, it's possible, but with let's see where they're at with with Saquon and with all what they've done in the offseason, what they've done to their defense.
And no Kelsey now, that's interesting too.
All right, Kelsey's huge.
Yeah, Bengals. I guess we're gonna give it to the Bengals, right?
Give it to the Bengals, but listen, man, Burrow is one injury away from what really is he. So
are we.
He's also one receiver away too. Like had they have lost Higgins in this offseason, it would be Jets for sure.
Yeah.
Because they did lose Mixon too. Remember, they lost Mixon.
They traded
that
Mixon.
To me.
Yeah, but they're probably gonna get a running back somewhere in the draft. They're gonna go young.
I mean, maybe, but you're not just gonna replace Joe Mixon like overnight.
Right. The Cowboys are gonna do the same thing too, in theory, right?
Yeah, Joe Mixon's usually like a top 15 guy every year.
Okay. I guess we're gonna say no to the Lions. Lions are better, right?
Lions are very good at football.
Okay. And now the Bills are number 4 on this list.
I think the Jets are better.
I think the Jets are better than the Bills.
I think the Jets are better than the Bills.
I don't know, man. It's hard.
They lost a lot.
They lost a lot. Their offensive line wasn't that great to begin with. I take the Jets over the. I'm telling you, the Jets are the best team in the AFC East right now.
Okay, and then the final 3, we're gonna all say no to: Baltimore, Kansas City, and San Francisco. San Francisco's actually favorite right now.
Yeah, San Francisco is not even a question. Baltimore, yeah, they're definitely better. But I don't know. I feel like what you're gonna say about Baltimore is what I'm gonna say about Kansas City.
All right, what are you gonna say about Baltimore? What are you gonna say about Kansas City?
Baltimore, they lost 3/5 of their offensive line. Ronnie Stanley is never healthy. They lost Patrick Queen, one of their best defensive players. I think they lost their defensive coordinator, right? I think they're in for a little bit of a regression. Not saying that the Jets are better than them, but I think it's closer than people would think.
Well, I mean, just going by,
I just think they're still very good.
No, I agree. I think they're very good. But I think the Jets are very good too. You know what I mean? So I think, like I said, they're better, but it's closer than people think.
I think Baltimore is better coached, slightly, not better defense, but maybe more productive defense. Like their defense will have more of the stats maybe than our defense but we'll see when with the addition of Rodgers how that plays
but
out.
that's time of possession and then just strategy. How jumpy you get.
Fine. I mean, well, then maybe, but for whatever reason, maybe that's coaching that comes into play. But still, the coaching is better. The offensive talent is definitely, really, really strong. I mean, Lamar Jackson is incredible.
You saw that stat the other day where they said Tyrod's like best season with the Bills had like basically the same passing stat line that Lamar had last year.
As in his MVP season, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, that's funny.
That was amazing.
That's funny. But with KC now, they're not super strong at receiver. Kelsey's a year older. Just the likelihood of them winning it yet another year. I mean, that's just like the statistical odds on it just drop down significantly. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is really good at football, but we almost with Zach Wilson at the helm, we were neck and neck with them. We only lost by a field goal and by, a bullshit ass call at the end. I like us versus KC more than I like us versus Baltimore. I think we match up better.
I think it was more the fumble that Zach had on the snap.
Yeah, that was
because they were moving the ball. They were moving.
Yeah.
He got first down, and they were about to move it and score.
But again,
that too, yeah.
Guys, I'll say about Kansas City, right? Like, it's completely different in Week 5 of the regular season than it is January in Arrowhead, right?
Sure.
And Patrick Mahomes, he's the guy that flips the odds, right? Yeah, the odds of a three-peat with almost anyone other than him, yeah, the odds are going to drop dramatically. But with him, there's nothing that man can't do, right? So I think out of all the teams in the NFL, including the Niners, the Chiefs are the one that would worry me the most, especially because they're in the AFC. And, they make the playoffs and they get the wrong matchup, they could be out in their first playoff game, So if it's Kansas City. But that is an interesting list because when you look at it, outside of, I think, the Falcons, there is debate as to whether, like, some of those teams are better than the Jets, right? Like, I think you could take the Jets in against a lot of those teams. So it's an interesting list to be, for sure.
I just want to share a fun fact. There have been 3 franchises to ever go to 3 consecutive Super Bowls. Can you name them?
The Bills?
Yes.
The Cowboys?
No,
they only had 2 in that stretch.
Still missed it with the Niners. No.
Okay.
The Steelers in like the 70s?
No. But it was the Bills, it's the Patriots.
There you go. That's the second.
And who's the third?
Come on. It's the Dolphins.
Really?
All three in the AFC.
I always forget they went to 3. I thought it was 2 back-to-back.
Yeah, they lost 1 and then they won 2.
2, yeah.
But it's literally our whole fucking division.
Right.
Except for us, of course, which is just really fucking, And also the Oilers have as many AFC division titles as we do. That's also really hard one to swallow. But I don't know, like I think you're going to see a couple more depth pieces signed, and there's still some receivers out there that can fill a nice wide receiver 4 role, so you really just can bang it at tackle, or lineman. But I think it'll be interesting. And I think you're right. One more depth piece on the O-line, wide receiver room, and more of a starter level safety that's mid-level at least.
I saw recently. This was obviously pre Mike Williams signing, but it was it was like a day before that, a mock where they had the Jets trading up, moving up to 5 and taking Harrison.
Yeah, I think, but that was also before the Mike Williams news.
Still, but I mean, Mike Williams is not a multi-year signing, though.
It's not, but kind of, I can't see it now.
I can't either.
Look at I always come back to this. Look at the last time Rodgers, won a Super Bowl. He had Greg Jennings, Jordy Nelson, and Donald Driver on the same squad. Those are all, 1K yard, top performing, wide receiver 1 level players.
Well, Jordy was like a rookie.
Jordy was a rookie then, but then immediately the next year he was a 1,000-yard receiver.
Well, I get it, and this
behind that quarterback at that time. He was God. He was God.
I would also say though, right? I mean, this season coming off an Achilles injury, I don't know, man. I just really, because you can have all the receivers you want. If Tyrod Taylor is throwing him the ball, 7th seed in the playoffs and a wild card loss is your ceiling, right? And I just think that it's imperative you have a 1 to 2 year window with Rodgers. You do everything you can to protect him because he'll figure everything else out, right? He has Garrett Wilson. He has Mike Williams. Tyler Conklin is underrated. Breece Hall out of the backfield. You have a lot of weapons that he can use, and they can take a receiver later in the draft as well.
Yeah, so but what about the Bengals 2 years ago? Super Bowl.
That was also
bottom 10 all line.
That's also
a lot went right for that team that year.
Yeah,
that's fine, but a lot has to go right for you to get to the Super Bowl period. Like you have to stay relatively healthy.
That's a young Joe Burrow, right? A young Joe Burrow, not a 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers, right? Okay. And I think Joe Burrow can withstand the punishment more than a 40-year-old quarterback coming off of an Achilles is, right?
I don't know. That's debatable. He's been a warrior. That's literally what Aaron Rodgers is known for: getting hit, taking hits, being able to play through injuries. How many seasons has he played where he's hurt and he plays through the whole season? Like, I'm actually, it's weird because before I was actually happy. One thing about getting Rodgers I was happy about was the fact that he's a warrior and that I knew our line wasn't necessarily the best. I felt that he would have been able to withstand the hits. I think with the Achilles thing, it was just turf plus bad angle plus a missed block, chip block there by Dwayne Brown, and all those things collided. And also Rodgers held on to the ball a little too long and, should have hit Garrett Wilson and tried to hit Mecole Hardman, whatever. So it was just a perfect storm of bad things that caused that injury. But other than that, I don't think if in that same situation, if he, gets hit, he's slightly turned one way or he's got his feet more planted or his knees more bent, I don't think that Achilles happens again.
Well, right. I'm just talking also about the cumulative damage that it will take to a 40-year-old body turning 41, right? That's my concern more than anything. Mm-hmm. And, I'm not saying he's going to tear his ACL, but if he's getting his ass beat every week, I don't know, man. I think you just got to protect him and let him figure everything else out because that's what he does.
I think so too. I think after that, also you got to remember that you're going to get another year of development with Gibson and Brownlee, who's Mr. Steal Your Girl apparently. So I'd like to see more of those. I don't know. I guess Gibson would be the gadget guy, right? That's just kind of going to be his only role, right? Which is, I guess it's fine, right? Brownlee would be interesting because that would be, more of a contested catch kind of guy. And we did see some flashes of him last year too. Yeah. I think he had a touchdown too last year, or one of the two, right? He did have a touchdown, yeah. So I don't know. That's interesting on that, but I don't know. With that, do you guys want to go to final thoughts since we were supposed to do a short show today? But
well, it's still a short.
But we'll do some final thoughts. So all right, Adnan, why don't you do it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think I said earlier, great day. This team is really rounding into shape, and like we said, few more depth moves. Offensive line, wide receiver. I know we love Izzy, but maybe a more veteran presence in the backfield if you can swing it. But I think that's the lowest need on the team, safety help. But I think there are moves to be made to strengthen and bolster the depth of this team. But I think roster-wise, this team is in very good shape. And now we just kind of march forward towards the draft. I'm sure we're going to have a lot of differing opinions leading towards it. But today is a good day to be a Jet fan and just have to keep stacking wins now throughout the offseason.
I'm going to go ahead and say shout out to Joe Douglas for nailing down 2 of the best available free agents in their class, at the time that they were taken. I mean, Tyron Smith was the, best available, tackle that we could have gotten. And Mike Williams is pretty much the best available receiver that we could have gotten. And, that's not something we've seen from the Jets. Usually we're either like scraping the bargain bin or we're begging other guys to come here or whatever the case may be. So, definitely very pleased with how free agency has been playing out for us. Concern now is, of course, age and injuries. It depends what Mike Williams are we getting? Are we getting the Mike Williams from 2021, 1,100 yards, 70 something receptions and, doing everything all over the field? Or are we getting the one from last year or 3 years ago or a year before last year? It really depends. Even if it's the year before last year, it's still a solid guy, but I still want to make sure that we're, doing the best to get the best out of Williams. I still am not opposed to us taking a receiver in the draft because that is long-term. We got to look long term, and now we have two great guys, at receiver, and if we add a third, I know line is important and all that, but I think 3 wide receivers where you can get the ball off instantly. People are getting open all the time. Someone's always open. I think that tapers down your need for the best of the best O-line, and you don't necessarily always have to have everybody in position and everyone doing, playing perfect and everyone healthy, as we saw with the Bengals just a couple of years ago. So, but regardless, I think that we're in a good place. I think that we're moving towards a good place. I'm super excited for the draft. I love the fact that we have options now and we're not pinned. That's the most important thing that's happened out of this free agency and offseason so far, is that we're not pinned in the draft to have to take this person or have to take that person. We really can just take best available talent, if it's Bowers or best tackle or whatever it may be. But I would like to see us trade back. And let's close strong and let's finish this offseason strong and let's get to training camp and let's kick some ass.
Yeah, it's not going to be Bowers. Just get out of here with that. It's not. It's probably going to be O-line. Now that I'm thinking about it and hearing what both of you are saying in your final thoughts, right? But I think it's going to be O-line just because you said long term, right? If you're thinking long term and also immediate impact in the event that something happens, right? You're probably the more immediate need would be to solve an offensive line issue, whereas a wide receiver issue, you got enough depth, and I think Rodgers can figure it out with the guys that are next man up on that one, more so than the next man up on the offensive line at this point. So I'm really thinking it's going to be offensive line. The option thing is interesting because now we have it. I think trading back is the best course of action. It's a good thing we got that Lisa Ann question off early before I wanted, before it picked 19. I had to hit her up again, be like, hey,
before we inevitably trade back.
Yeah, once again, you're talking through my fucking final thought, Flo. So Jesus,
cry about it. You're gonna cry about it.
Yeah, I am gonna cry about it. But we do have some exciting things coming to the show. We're gonna try and get some more New York Jet athletes on this show. I think we're gonna target either Greg the Leg or Thomas Morstead next. We might try to get both of them because now, because we're working on something right now that's going to make us a little bit more out there in terms of a reach to a bigger audience. And for those that have been loyal to us at this point, we thank you so much for your loyalty. Or if you just saw us once and left, then you can go fuck yourself. But basically,
it doesn't mean that.
He definitely means that. He's an asshole. He's an asshole. He definitely means that.
I don't mean that.
I don't mean that though. And yes,
send your hate mail my way. You know where to find me. But until then, fuck the Patriots, fuck the Dolphins, fuck the Bills, go Jets.
And that's where we do agree.
Thanks everyone.
Have a good night.